I'm not the one guy who's going to deliver your first class review now. This isn't even my intention. But I want to add my 5 humble cents if you don't mind. So, I've heard and read some bad stuff about Fallout 3. And I tried to avoid it all until I got the chance to experience it for myself. But you know what? Forget about all of this. You wanted a true Fallout game? Here it is. You won't get any more Fallout than provided in Fallout 3. I mean, Bethesda did an amazing job in my opinion. In that week the game came out, I was exchanging emails with the Sekrom support team to get my so-called $60 safety copy to work. They've sent me a different Fallout launcher to no avail. But the trick is, if I launch it from the disk, it runs just fine, so that's one weird example of how copy protection can screw up things. Never mind, during that week I had time to go through the manual, and just from studying that I could tell it's gonna be great and that they are sticking just as close to the previous games as you only could. By the way, if you can, go for the collector's edition, or as I like to call it, the lunchbox edition. You'll get some nice additions like an art book, you know, making off one of those typical Fallout dolls that shakes its head. Oh, this kind of nerdy stuff. If you like that, you know, it's definitely worth the money. Especially, you know, the game is just $10 cheaper than the collector's edition, so you won't be disappointed at all. And if you can afford the game itself, you can also afford this. So, yeah, the first time playing Fallout 3, I was like set back to that creepy and yet fascinating post-nuclear Fallout atmosphere that I knew from Fallout, and in particular Fallout 2, because the first one, yeah, it's been a long time that I've played that one, but I sure remember the second one very well. It's one of those games you pick up and reinstall once in a while. You don't know exactly what you did last time when you played it and how you did it, but you know it was fun, it was entertaining and exciting altogether. And Fallout 3, ladies and gentlemen, connects to that par excellence, you know, with all the benefits from next generation techniques and shit. If you know the Fallout series, you will immediately find yourself at home from the very beginning. You've got the special abilities, the character stats, you can select the genre and your common stuff, and my god, that face editor. I have never seen such a versatile and complete editor ever in a game before. You know, this is exceptional. You can change everything, and when I say everything, I absolutely mean everything. You can change not only your eye or hair color, you can change like the size of your chin and whatnot. And if you begin to dislike your looking, you can change it during the game, you know, have different haircuts. Not that it really matters, because you know 99% of the time you will never see yourself from the front and therefore your face. But nonetheless, it's nice to see this effort, you know, put into the game. I know that some say Fallout 3 is just a modification of Oblivion Elder Scrolls and not a real good one. I can't tell you anything about that. I haven't played that game, but even if it was the case, who really cares if the end product is that good? I mean, and Bethesda surely improved in creating these games, because Oblivion, as what I've heard, seemed to be kind of flawed and buggy. But you know, talking about bugs, they are hardly existent in Fallout 3, and those that are around, you know, aren't spoiling the fun at all. I mean, the most obvious bug is surely the AI when it moves in towns or crowded places. You know, when a bunch of NPCs are at the same spot, they sometimes get stuck, or they walk against each other, or they get stuck at obstacles, but that's basically all. Yeah, the world, the wastelands of DC is huge. Yes, it's very huge. Not huge enough for my personal taste, but definitely big enough to keep you busy for a very long time. And if you are one of those who turns around every friggin' stone, you will be busy for several days, if not weeks. You know, the story itself can be completed within a few hours if you want to, if you really stick to the quest log and do what it's asked. But there's so many interesting places and happenings around there, and you don't want the game to end that soon. And therefore, I mean, I definitely recommend that you go around and check everything. I think the best way to play Fallout 3, and this could basically go for any Fallout game, by the way, but if you act the way you would in real life, you know, like it was you in that world, in that afterworld. But it's also nice to see, you know, although it's not a new feature, you know, we already had that in the previous Fallout games, you can choose different chat options or show different behaviors, and these will affect relationships and possibilities in certain areas. So if you want to be the badass mofo that gives jack about anything, you can do that. And if you prefer being the nice guy who helps others out for no charge, that's also possible. Or anything in between that, which is usually the way it turns out, but there's no one way to play this game. The experience will change every single time. And for instance, I've noticed it very often that one time I went on traveling in the wasteland and I had one event occurring, and unfortunately I died shortly after that without the game, you know, saving again. But when I got there back again from the same save state, and even if it was the same place and the same time, the event isn't taking place again, or another one comes in. So yeah, just as we know it from the Fallout series, you know, you have random stuff going on. I would even go that far and say that Fallout 3 is a successful transportation from Fallout 2 into this kind of generation of video gaming. And it's not doing so much original, you know, as I said, it really sticks to the Fallout series and the previous games. So therefore this might be the reason why the game only receives a, you know, a very solid 8.5 or maybe even a 9 from me. Somewhere around these marks, but definitely not above 9. No, the game just doesn't offer too much new stuff to get a higher score than that. But nonetheless, I like how the destructed and therefore boring, which I personally don't think is, but a lot of people say it's boring, and sad looking landscape never gets dull to me, and so doesn't the cities and locations, where you usually only trade or do quests, but it's never empty, you know, it never feels dull, there's always some shit going on. The NPCs are talking or they're fighting against each other and whatnot, it's really amazing. So if you liked Fallout in general and you're also liking first-person shooters, you will love this game. Yeah, you could also play it in third-person view, but I don't recommend that. You know, it takes away a little from the suspense, and aiming also is a lot harder. And the weapons and guns arsenal is remarkably good. You know, I won't spoil anything about the weapons, but there's some good stuff in here. You know, the only thing that didn't make it from Fallout 2 was the round-based fighting system. Maybe because that's just too old-fashioned, you know, there's barely any games coming out that uses round fighting systems anymore. But they got this VAT system, also with action points, very familiar from Fallout 2, and with the options to shoot specific body parts, and it transports that very well. All in all, Fallout 3 is a must-have game in my opinion, and it's a game that's far more interesting than others like Call of Duty, Far Cry and all the other games. I mean, I'm so sick of these World War shooters, to be honest with you, you know, with Americans as the heroes that save the world. It's always the same crap, man, and good that we have exceptions like Fallout 3, you know, this game is awesome, go buy it, and that's all I got to say for now.